At 7:12 on a quiet Tuesday morning, your phone lights up beside a half-finished cup of coffee. Dividend payment received, $8,106. There is no celebration, no champagne, no photograph for social media. You simply glance at the notification, close the screen, and return to the kitchen window. Outside, the neighborhood is waking slowly. A delivery truck turns the corner. Someone walks a dog beneath the trees. Your older car sits in the driveway, clean, reliable, completely unimpressive. And that is exactly how you like it. Because earning more than $100,000 a year in dividends does not feel the way people imagine wealth should feel. It is quieter, less like winning, more like breathing. The money arrives while you sleep, cook dinner, read, walk, or spend an afternoon without explaining where you are. But the calm came years after the difficult part. For a long time, every dollar invested felt like a small argument with the present. A nicer apartment or another share of an index fund. A new car or ownership in a profitable business. Immediate pleasure or future freedom. Behavioral economists call this tension present bias, the mind's tendency to value today more than tomorrow. Most people never fully escape it. You did not escape it either. You simply learned to notice it. So you kept a small notebook beside your brokerage statements. Each month, you recorded the dividends, reinvested most of them, and watched numbers that once looked insignificant begin to multiply. First, they paid the electric bill, then the mortgage, then every ordinary expense in your life. Now, the portfolio produces more income than many full-time careers. Still, the strangest part is not the money arriving. It is realizing how differently you behave once your life no longer depends on anyone's permission, and what that freedom quietly asks you to give up. The first thing that changes isn't your house. It's your calendar. A woman living on 6 figures of dividend income discovers that time becomes the rarest asset she owns. She no longer counts vacation days or waits anxiously for Friday afternoon. Tuesday morning carries the same quiet promise as Saturday. Yet freedom introduces an unexpected challenge. Psychologists have long observed that people adapt quickly to improved circumstances, a phenomenon known as hedonic adaptation. The excitement fades. What remains is the person you have become, so each morning still begins the same way. Coffee. A glance at the portfolio, not to chase prices, but to confirm the businesses continue doing what they have done for years. The dividends arrive because factories keep producing, utilities keep powering cities, consumers keep buying everyday necessities. The routine never feels glamorous, it feels dependable. On an evening walk through the neighborhood, passing homes far larger than your own, you realize something surprising. The greatest luxury isn't proving you can afford more. It's knowing you don't need to. Quiet ownership has replaced quiet comparison. But there is one conversation almost no one prepares you for. The moment friends begin wondering why your life looks so peaceful, without realizing what it truly costs to build it. The questions begin subtly. Are you still working? Did you inherit something? How can you be so relaxed all the time? You smile, change the subject, and ask about their family instead. Not because you're hiding a secret, but because you learned that financial independence is easier to protect than to explain. Years ago, social comparison quietly influenced your decisions more than you realized. Research in psychology suggests we often measure success against the people around us, even when their choices have little to do with our own goals. The moment you stopped treating money as a performance, your investments began serving your life instead of your identity. On Saturday mornings, you still drive the same dependable car to the grocery store. You compare prices without embarrassment. You cook at home more often than you dine out. None of these habits survived because you couldn't afford to change them. They remained because they built the woman who now enjoys this freedom. Later that afternoon, You open your investment journal. Another quarter has passed. Several companies have raised their dividends again, not dramatically, just steadily, almost quietly. Like the portfolio itself, progress rarely announces its arrival. It accumulates in the background while life unfolds. Then one evening, while watching the sunset from your porch with another cup of coffee, an unexpected thought crosses your mind. If money has finally stopped being the center of your life, what deserves that place now? The answer doesn't arrive all at once. It reveals itself in ordinary moments. A Wednesday afternoon spent helping your aging parents without checking the time. A long lunch with a friend who needs someone to listen. A quiet morning reading on the porch while another dividend payment lands unnoticed in your account. Years ago, every hour had a price attached to it. Now, every hour carries a choice. Economists call it opportunity cost, but it no longer feels like a textbook idea. It becomes deeply personal. Saying yes to one commitment means protecting your attention from countless others. Financial independence hasn't eliminated trade-offs. It has simply given you the privilege of making them deliberately. You notice this every time the market stumbles. Headlines grow louder. Television experts predict disaster. Friends wonder if they should sell everything. You make another cup of coffee. Then you open your brokerage report, not searching for reassurance, but for evidence. Are the businesses still profitable? Are they generating cash flow? Have the reasons you invested actually changed? Most of the time, the answer is remarkably boring. No. So you close the report and continue making dinner. That quiet discipline is invisible to everyone else. They only see the outcome years later, never the hundreds of ordinary evenings when patience quietly outperformed panic. As the seasons pass, your portfolio keeps doing what it was built to do, providing income while you focus on living. And one crisp autumn morning, reviewing another year of steady dividend increases, you realize the greatest return was never measured on a brokerage statement. It was measured in the woman you became while waiting. One winter morning, years after that first meaningful dividend payment, you return to the same kitchen window. The coffee is still warm. The neighborhood is still quiet. Your car is older now. The notebook that once held careful records of every dividend increase is worn at the edges. Some pages are stained with coffee rings, others filled with small notes that once seemed ordinary. Stay invested. Ignore the noise. Think in decades. You smile because those words were never really about money. History has repeatedly shown that long-term wealth is built less by predicting markets than by consistently owning productive assets through changing seasons. Markets have celebrated, panicked, recovered, and surprised generations of investors. Through it all, patient ownership has remained one of the few advantages available to ordinary people willing to think differently. Looking back, the portfolio did more than produce over $100,000 a year in dividends. It quietly rewrote your relationship with fear. You stopped chasing every opportunity because you no longer feared missing out. You stopped comparing your life because someone else's success no longer threatened your own. You stopped measuring wealth by what people could see and started measuring it by what no one could take away. Your time, your peace, your independence, and the confidence to make decisions without financial desperation. The greatest irony is that the life many people imagine as extraordinary is built from remarkably ordinary days. Days of making coffee instead of rushing. Days of reviewing annual reports instead of headlines. Days of driving a reliable car that has already paid for itself many times over. Days of letting compounding work while you focused on becoming a wiser, calmer woman. In the end, financial freedom was never the destination. It was the quiet space where the rest of your life finally had room to begin. If this story felt familiar, or if it reflects the kind of life you're slowly building, I hope you'll stay for the next conversation. This channel is for women who believe wealth doesn't need to be loud to be meaningful, and that patience can be one of the most powerful financial decisions a person ever makes. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What does financial freedom look like to you? Not in numbers, but in everyday life? If stories like this resonate with you, consider subscribing so we can continue exploring the quiet habits that shape lasting independence, one thoughtful conversation at a time. Because the richest life is often the one that hardly anyone notices.